Okay, so this is a 12-ounce cup slash skinny can koozie, doozy as they call it. I'm going to put this pattern that I cut. I cut it in black vinyl, but I'm going to lay the pattern out on here. And it is going to be a sort of, I'm going to cut a little bit of the end of the transfer tape off. It's going to be a little bit of a cheat tangram type of deal. So hopefully this is going to lay out straight. I hope. But I'm going to get it folded back some and just work it around. This should be a completely straight cup. To do something like this, it would be very difficult on a curve. You can warp a design to do it on a curve, but my software doesn't do a warp or a conical wrap. So I am just going with a regular rectangle and hoping it lines up all right, because I don't really want to recut it. I went with black just so it would stand out better. And when I get to the end here, it's going to be the moment of truth if I lined up straight or not. But I can't actually do the end until I pull the beginning. So I'm going to peel my transfer tape back a little bit. And if I have to shimmy it a little bit, I will. Try and stretch it a little bit. Not bad, not bad. I'm going to peel the rest of my tape off. And that's a nice big piece of tape, so I'm going to stick it back to that backing and set it aside. So, I do have a little bit where it's going to fold at the bottom, but I'm going to make sure I get that pushed down really well. I did sand this like crazy. I do want to make sure I have this pushed down pretty hard. I did rip it a little bit there, but it's okay. I'm going to grab my brayer real quick, because that'll be the gentlest way. This is a brayer. It's a rubber roller. This will be the gentlest way to make sure it's on there firmly. You can find all kinds of SVGs for these. I just went into Design Space and clicked on backgrounds and picked one I like. It's not the traditional tangram, but it's similar enough. And I liked this pattern. So I should have made it a tiny bit shorter, because I do have little bumps down here, but they should be fine. They'll cover up. I have some extra backing papers. I have a huge variety of brushes here, and I have just a bunch of bright rainbowy colors. So I'm not going to really go in with any specific pattern in mind. I'm going to do this totally random, I think. This is a little dull because it has been sanded, but it will brighten back up, I assure you. But I'm just going to paint in the spaces. I'm just going to go around. I might skip one here and there. And at some point I will pick one color to do the entire base and around the top rim. And you can do two on a space if you want. Part of the reason I went with black is because if it runs over a little bit, it's not going to be noticeable. If you wanted to, you can still tape off after. But I think I'm just going to leave the black. I think it'll be fine. And you can do any sort of pattern with this. You can fill in a Zentangle and just do one image. You can do anything that's got a border will work. The tangram SVGs that you would purchase to do a glitter with Mod Podge tangram won't work because it doesn't leave the border. You have to make sure you have a fillable border to do one of these, this style. So do be aware of that when you're planning something like this. So I'm going to set that brush aside, set that color aside, and just keep moving on. Like I said, I grabbed quite a rainbow of colors, so. And after I'm done filling all of these, I will let it sit for a bit, and then I will come back on and show you how it looks when the resin goes on. It'll shine back up. When you're done, wash your brushes out with alcohol. It might take a couple times. You can actually just squirt some hand sanitizer in your hand and like rub it around, rinse it off. And do it a couple times till no more color's coming out. I find that works really well. Let's skip that section, I think. Just gonna do one little one up here. I'm just going to do these little triangles down here. So, switch color again. Set that brush aside so I don't get them mixed up. And I will at some point pick like an image and do an actual stained glass picture this way at some point. It's just one of those things that I haven't done on camera yet. I'm going to go ahead and stop and then restart so I can just fast forward through the rest of this, because it is going to be repetitive the rest of the way through. Okay, it is all filled in now. I'm going to let this sit for a bit and then come in and give it an epoxy layer. Just at the bottom, the aqua. I did have a few spots that ran, but nothing horrendous. And I kind of smoothed them back in. So I will let this sit for a bit and I will be back for the resin layer. Okay, so this is done. I just put a very simple word relax on here. And I wanted to remind you that this is a doozy. It holds a 12-ounce can. I put a Red Bull can in here just because I don't have any seltzers in the house. So I stopped and grabbed a Red Bull just because I know they're the same size can. So it works as a can koozie. And you do have plenty up to drink from. I know on some of them you don't have that. And it also has a screw-on lid, which makes it a 12-ounce cup. So, multi-purpose. Get its arm back on it. And get it on the turner. This one's also on a super long arm. I keep running into this today. But it's small enough that I can put it this way. I'm going to grab a pair of gloves. And I'm going to get a clear coat on here. I am going to put a little bit of glitter in the clear coat, and I mean just a little bit. So I have some resin left in this cup. I'm going to use just a sprinkle of this Glitter Bay Walk-On Water. That's the pour side, not the sprinkle side. This is a beautiful holographic. I'd really like to do a tack it cup with this soon. And I'm going to use a little bit of my Girl's Best Friend sheet. So, that's it, mixed in, easy peasy. My resin's pretty thick because it wasn't warmed, so I'm going to scoop it out of the cup onto the tumbler. I did decal directly over just because this already did have a ton of layers for the glitter layer, and I don't want it getting too awfully thick. So this will be a good coat, and then if it needs one more clear coat, it'll get one more regular clear coat. But let's get her spread on. And you can see all of that glitter is shining right back up where I inked over the sanded parts. It's bringing it right back to a high shine. And that extra bit of sparkle I added in was mostly just to give the black band just a little bit of sparkle, because I'm not going to tape back over this. You could go in and tape over all those lines if you wanted to, or you could have removed the stencil altogether and taped it all, but I'm fine with the black. I think it makes it really pop. So that is it. I'm gonna let that level itself and do its thing. I'm gonna level up the turner a little bit because this is that one that is always a little bit off, but I'm gonna torch it really, really quick just to warm it the tiniest bit and smooth it out and get any of those bubbles out. But there's your cheat hack, rather than individually glittering, going over a solid glittered cup. So, that's it for this one. Well, here she is, my faux stained glass tangram type chevron. I did have a little bit of bleed there on that color, but I'm not even going to worry about that little bit. And the bottom's just that aqua. And just the simple word, relax.